section, and by the time that you're done, you'll be a pro. We want to cover one troubleshooting tip with you today. If you accidentally cut one of your strip lights too short and you need to make it longer and reconnect it back together, and you don't want to use one of your snap connectors to do this, obviously, because it's so long, you can purchase at your local retailer that carries Gap Supply products a butt connector. Now, the butt connector allows you to take two pieces of tape, just like you would install them into your snap connector, and apply them into this connector, and basically what it does is it allows you then to lengthen that piece of tape back up. So once you slip it in there, you'll snap it closed on each side. And now your tape can be lengthened. Now that you've watched the instructional portion of this video, I'm sure you're anxious to get started. Let's answer a few of the questions you may have though. First of all, power supply location. We recommend using an obvious location. Perhaps you have a microwave that's situated over your range top with an outlet there that you can utilize. Maybe there's an outlet behind your refrigerator, one in a base cabinet, or pre-existing in a wall cabinet if you're already pre-wired for lights. If not though, you're going to need to take your power supply and add an outlet in a cabinet. To do this, you may need to hire a licensed electrician, and you're going to want to have him run a line to create a remodel box up inside of a cabinet. So then there you can branch out to your different locations, to your dimmer, to your lights, and so forth. Now, another thing you're going to do is you're going to want to make sure that you clean the surface that your lights are going to be mounted to thoroughly. We recommend using just a lint-free cloth with some Windex on it, wiping, making sure it's dust-free, grease-free, just contaminant-free in general. You'll then want to take your lights. You're going to want to cut your lights per the connector portion of this video that you watched earlier. Make sure you cut it appropriately. You can measure it. In a case like this where I'm standing in the corner of this kitchen, your lighting could actually be continuously run without cutting it around all of these bends in order to get to your end here where your snap connector would be mounted. And then that really only requires 1/2 of a snap connector. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's show you how you can mount an outlet in a backsplash and run that up into your cabinet, and then from there out to a dimmer, and show you how that installation works. Let's get started. Okay, we finally made it. We're ready to get some work done. Here's what we're going to do right now. You're going to want to make sure that you have all of the components that you're going to need for the portion of this install. The basic portion that we're going to cover at this moment is how to add an outlet up into a cabinet that does not have one pre-existing in it. That way it gives you a place to hide your power supply. So what we're going to do is we're going to utilize the outlet that we have here in our backsplash, and we're going to drop power down to it by using the appropriate electrical supplies. Now, you may need an electrician in your area to do this. In some areas, however, they do allow the homeowner to do that work. You're going to need a remodel box. You're going to need an outlet with an outlet cover. And then you'll need some various tools to cut your hole. We're going to use just like a multi-purpose tool to cut our hole with. You can also do it by hand. You'll need a drill, a Phillips and a flat screwdriver, your connection wire, your dimmer, and then the low voltage mounting bracket to mount your dimmer in. So we're going to go ahead and get started. What we've done is we've pre-marked out the areas that we're going to use to mount our dimmer. So here we've taken our dimmer and we've traced it out on the wall, the area in which we're going to locate it. Now, one thing to keep in mind, that every outlet in your backsplash is usually mounted to a stud during the rough construction stage, which means that there's going to be a stud on one side of your outlet. In our installation scenario, the stud is actually here. So we're going to be pulling power down in line with our remodel box here down to our power supply, and then we'll drill a hole on the other side of the stud and we'll fish our connection wire that's provided in your kit down to the dimmer area, pull it through and show you how to connect it to your power supply. Then at that point, all we have left to do is to run an additional connection wire from our dimmer up to our lights where they're going to begin, and we're ready to power up the lights. So we're going to go ahead and cut these out. We'll go ahead and have you go ahead and mark out your locations, and then we'll return to the video and we'll be able to finish up the installation. Okay, now that we've got our outlet mounted into our top of our cabinet, remember we pulled power from the outlet in the backsplash. What we've done is we've taken some double-sided adhesive, we've applied that to our power supply just to adhere it neatly up into the corner of the cabinet. We've put on our male barrel connector. We've run the connection wire down the cabinet. We brought it through the back of the cabinet down into our dimmer, and then one from our dimmer back up, and that's going to be where we power the lights, which is actually in this cabinet here is where our first wire is that we're going to use to power up our lights that will be applied to the bottom of our cabinet. Now, for the sake of this video and time, what we went ahead and did is we pre-drilled our holes. So we have a hole coming from here where our power will begin. We have a hole here where the end of that strip will have a snap connector on it that will then come up. And then we went ahead and put lights on the inside top of this cabinet, the lower portion over the sink, and then to the bottom of the last cabinet here in the far left. So we've pre-wired all of those. And what we're going to do is we're just going to show you how to make that initial connection, and then you're going to follow that step all the way through the rest of your installation. In fact, we do recommend pre-drilling all of your holes, pre-running your wires, because the adhering of the tape is actually very quick and very fast, as you're going to see. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take our connector that we've pre-stripped back. We're going to run that wire into the cabinet here. We've got these inline crimp connectors, and the inline crimp connector you can pick up at any hardware store. It makes it easier than using a wire nut, so a wire nut would be fine as well. So we're going to go ahead and attach these, and we're working with this while it's live and hot, so you don't have to worry about electrocuting yourself with the low voltage. Now this strip should light up once we get power to it. Let me see, it does. Line up our crimp connector. Go ahead, crimp it down. And now we can see that our lights are working. So what we're going to go ahead and do then is we're going to peel our adhesive tape off. We've already pre-cleaned the bottom of our cabinet here. We're going to open our door. We're going to pass our wire through this here. And then we're going to stick this down to our cabinet. Connection up here, again with our quick connector. See there now, when I pass the two wires up through, what it does is it resets the transformer. So by unplugging it and plugging it back in, your lights will power up again. And then we'll just tidy up these wires here in a moment. but now you can see that your light's all light up. Then your last step is just to take your power or your dimmer, recess it back into the wall, attach it with your screws, and you're done. But we can go ahead and show you how the dimmer works here. So you'll tap it to turn it off, tap it to turn it back on, you'll hold to dim, and wherever you release it, it'll stay at that setting. And then you touch it again, and it'll dim back up to full brightness. In this particular installation, we use the radiance or the less intense strip, but you can still see that it puts off a lot of light. Your installation's done. Now you can enjoy a nice bright light in your workspace. Thanks for watching.